Here we go, College Football Payoff Podcast. This is week 4.
Episode 42.
That's Big Country. I'm Dan. We're back. Great week for the podcast last week. Both gave you 4 picks. We both went 3-1. 6-2 as a podcast. Brings our overall record 17-10. That's 63% winners.
Tell your friends.
I mean,
you're welcome.
We're both over 50%. 10-5 overall for myself. Big Country is 7-5, and it's starting to come together for us. We're putting winners out there, and like we say, it's quality over quantity for us. And at 63% as a podcast, you can't be mad about that at all. Quick recap of last week for my wins. Ole Miss minus 16.5. That was easy. Blew them out 42-0. Oklahoma minus 11.5. Another easy one. Ohio State first half minus 18.5. That was easy as well. Could have taken the over. Could have taken the game spread as well. Felt confident in Ohio State. And then the one loss was Purdue +1, which I watched that game, and I think at the end there was like 4 or 5 unsportsmanlike conduct penalties on Purdue.
That one was wild.
It was an insane ending.
Purdue should have won that game.
They should have, and they were talking about the players just went berserk. It was wild. If you didn't see it, try to check out the highlights in that. That was my card. Do you have your recap from last week?
Yes, sir. I went 3-1, like you said. Kansas +9. They won outright. That's an easy cover. Vandy +2.5. They won outright. Easy cover. Georgia State lost to Charlotte. I have no idea where that team's at now. That's a very embarrassing loss. I had them minus 19. They lost outright by 1. And then, again, we had the Iowa under. After many delays, that game hit. Iowa won 27-0. Hit the under 39. I did say we're going to keep riding this trend, but the spread or the total this week on the Iowa-Rutgers game is a little too low for my liking. So we're
what is
one
it?
of the lowest ones I've ever seen. It's down to 34.5. I'm not going to be taking that. So maybe next week.
God, that's an NFL type under. Jesus. All right. So, that's all we need to say about last week. Let's jump right in. You have 3 this week.
I do.
I have 4, so I will get us started. Spoiler, I have, out of the 4 games, 3 of them are overs. So
I got an over on here.
Do you?
Yeah.
Maybe we have the same one. Who knows? We haven't looked at each other's card. We like to go in and start fresh. So I'm going to start, though. I'm going to start with the one game that I'm not playing the total, and that's Texas versus Texas Tech. Texas is a 5-point favorite. Let me get to my sheet here. All right. So Texas, coming off that, they're coming off of a tough. I wouldn't say it's really tough though. They play Bama, and you get Quinn Ewers hurt. Texas, I don't know. The Texas I knew growing up was hard-nosed. Quinn Ewers, collarbone injury week 2, out for the next few weeks. So Hudson Card is under center. Last week, 15 to 23, 161 and a touchdown. That's to be expected with a quarterback, especially since Texas is putting all of their stock for their quarterback into the future with Quinn Ewers and then Arch Manning coming in. So what does Texas do? They lean on the run game, and that's Bijan Robinson, 311 yards, 5 touchdowns, 51 total carries through 3 weeks. And last year, 195 carries, over 1,000 yards, 11 touchdowns. So he's already hitting the ground running there. He also does catch the ball out of the backfield, which I think helps when you have a quarterback who is not as highly touted, and he is in that backup role. Big thing for me, though, Texas, 3-0 against the spread this season. Last week they bounced back from that 1-point loss to Bama, 41-20 over UTSA. And like we said, Robinson, he just continues. He's having days. 183, 3 touchdowns on 20 carries in that game. And then their defense is actually stepping up as well. They had a 40-something yard pick six, 11-point lead at the end of the third. Sarkisian has the team moving, and now you're going in, and whenever you face an in-state school, I don't know if you really call it a rivalry, but it sort of feels that way. You want to assert dominance in your state. Texas Tech, yeah, they came off of a 63-10 win, but that's against Murray State. They were favored 38.5. And then they did beat Houston 33-30, but that was double overtime, and they were 4-point home favorites. So they're 1-2 against the spread. They did lose against NC State, who's ranked 16th, 27-14. And it's the defenses, good defenses are giving Texas Tech trouble here. I think Texas has a good defense, and they're putting more stock into that now, trying to give the offense as much breathing room as they can. Quarterback Donovan Smith, 21 of 36 for 214 yards, touchdown, but he did throw a couple interceptions, so he's prone to the turnover machine. I think Texas Tech lost one of their quarterbacks to a shoulder injury, so this new guy coming in, ups and downs, two starts. Now he's going to go up against Texas, who held Bama to 20 points. So I'm thinking that their defense is going to build and just keep getting stronger. But anytime you can hold a Nick Saban offense to 20 points, I think you're doing something right. On the other side, it's going to be all about Texas Tech's run defense. Longhorns are 5.2 yards per carry, 170.3 per game. I think this is Bijan Robinson's game. I think he has a massive day. I think the Longhorns are going to stick with it, stick with the trend, beating the spread. They're a favorite by what, less than a touchdown? Yeah, I mean less than 6 points even. So I think Texas takes care of business. It doesn't have to be pretty, but with the trends and how Robinson's running the ball, especially behind a backup quarterback, I have a lot of confidence in Texas here. So I'll take Texas -5.
Good stuff. I was actually really debating putting that on my card. Wasn't too sure about Hudson card though, but I like it. I'll probably end up taking it on Saturday. All right, I'm going to do my first pick of the week. It's a Saturday game, noon kickoff, SEC game. We're going to go down, and we're going to take an angle here where we're fading a sinking ship. And the sinking ship that we're going to fade this week is the Auburn Tigers. They got their ass whooped last week home by Penn State. And Penn State is really not that good this year. They have a pretty good defense. But, we've said many times in this pod, we don't think Sean Clifford's elite, especially an injured Sean Clifford. And then they ended up winning by almost 29 points last week. Just absolutely ridiculous, embarrassing for the whole state of Alabama. And I don't think this ship is going to regain any steam here. I think they're going to go down, and I think Brian Harson's going to be fired by Sunday morning. TJ Finley, the not-so-star quarterback of Auburn, who has 1 touchdown and 4 picks this year, is out for this game. So an offense that has already been not moving the ball, has had a terrible season so far, is losing their best player and having to settle for a quarterback. So I think they're going to really keep this game on the ground with Tank Bigsby, their number 1 running back. It was 297 yards on the year. But he is just, I don't really think he's going to be able to keep up with the high-scoring Missouri Tigers. Missouri put up 52 points on Louisiana Tech and then 34 last week against an FCS school. The alpha nerd Eli Drinkowicz, their head coach, is an offensive mastermind. And I really do think that they're just going to, even though they're 7-point underdogs, I think they're going to be able to outpace Auburn here and ultimately pull away for an outright win. But for pod purposes, we're only going to go with And Missouri +7. They have Pete and Schroeder as their two-headed horse at running back. They're both actually averaging 4.3 yards per carry, and they have a pretty good sophomore quarterback in Brady Cook. He has thrown averaging 1 pick per game, but I really don't see that as being too detrimental to this high-powered, pretty quick offense. All around, I know Missouri's defense isn't that great, but they are pretty comparable to the defenses Auburn has played. So I'm really just not too alarmed by Auburn, having the potential to score too many points, because I just don't think it will happen. I'm going to stay with Missouri here on the road, +7 at Auburn, and maybe if you want, sprinkle the money line.
Nice. All right, so that's Missouri-Auburn. That is the start of the SEC schedule, correct?
Correct.
All right, so let's keep it in the SEC. Going to Vandy, Alabama. This is the first time that they've played since 2017, I want to say. And in that game, Bama destroyed them 59-0. They were 19.5-point road favorites. This game is in Alabama. This time around, 40.5-point home favorites. And the total's at 59 is what I have here. Let me just double check that because I know they're changing. I can actually get 58.5. I'm playing the over in this one, and it's strictly on Bama, but it's also Vanderbilt slightly. So let's talk about Vandy for a second. They've already cashed in their season win total, right? I think they were at 2.5.
Yes.
Yeah, so they've already.
It's a cash ticket for me.
Yeah, there you go. Congratulations. So they're 3-1 already. Last week they beat up on it. Well, not saying beat up, but they did beat Northern Illinois when they were. I think they were underdogs in that game.
2.5-point underdogs. It's one of my locks last week.
There we go. See, 14-point second half deficit. They scored 24 unanswered. Their offense, their offense looks like it's gaining traction. I can see them going in against Bama. Maybe they get the ball first, whatever it is, or towards late in the game. I don't see them getting shut out this week. But what I do see happening is Bama just showing that they're a juggernaut in your first SEC conference game. Saban is known to, I won't say run up the score, but he's known to put points on the board. Vandy, like we said, they're 3-1. They're 2-2 against the spread, but they're scoring 42 points per game, which is about 220 through the air, but 218 on the ground. They got a senior running back. I think he gives them a little experience there. Maybe gets them into the end zone once, maybe twice. It's 14, but Alabama is just they're a juggernaut. Last week, 63-7, they beat up on UL Monroe, but they outgained them by close to 400 yards. I just
Bryce Young's the Steph Curry of college football.
he threw his first 2 interceptions of the season in week 3, but he also had 13 completions for 3 touchdowns and 236 yards.
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of absurd. On the season, he's 644 yards, 9 touchdowns, and just those 2 interceptions. They have their running back transferred over from Georgia Tech. That's Jahmyr Gibbs. God, the spelling of names. 295 yards from scrimmage, couple TDs. But for me, this is Bama coming in, wanting to score 60 points. I think they score 60 points. I think they can hit this 58.5 on their own. But SEC opener at home, Saban wants to make a statement. He's seen Georgia leapfrog him. He saw a tough test with Texas. He wants his team to come firing out. And I think that he sees Ohio State is kind of nipping at his heels, trying to get that number 2 ranking. And
they're going to need to make a statement.
You got to make a statement. So I think this week Bama puts up 60 on their own. So I think this is a no-brainer for me. It's the over 58.5 Vandy Bama.
Okay. I'm going to lead it with another overplay here. It's be another 12 o'clock kickoff dealing with another SEC team. Man, this must be the SEC pod this week. And it's going to be an over 52 coming from the Bowling Green, Mississippi State game. So we already know that Mississippi State head coach Mike Leach, air raid offense, Will Rogers, quarterback, has having a hell of a year so far. Already has 100 completions on the season for 977 yards and 10 touchdowns. He has thrown 3 picks, but I'm not too worried about that here. And, Mississippi State needs a confidence boost. This is the way to do it. They lost to LSU last week by 2 touchdowns. Not the performance they wanted. Brian Kelly was able to shut down the air raid. But you know who's not going to be able to shut down the air raid? Bowling Green. Bowling Green is not going to be able to shut down the air raid. They're allowing 45 points a game. And you might say, oh, well, they were probably playing some huge powerhouse schools those first couple weeks of the season. Just not the case at all. They giving up 45 points a game to Marshall, Eastern Kentucky, and UCLA, who just almost lost to South Alabama last week. But on the bright side, which also helps our over, is their quarterback Matt McDonald has 690 yards on the season so far, passing, and 10 touchdowns with 0 interceptions. So that's probably one of the best stat lines you're going to get out of a Bowling Green quarterback over the last 10 years. And I think that just helps us over 52. I don't even think we'll necessarily need Bowling Green because I think with them giving up 345 passing yards a game that Will Rogers would be able to slice and dice this defense left and right. We might have 4 touchdowns in the first quarter, which is really great. But even if we do need Bowling Green to score, I'm feeling really good with Matt McDonald at quarterback. On top of that, he is the leading rusher on the team this year through 3 games, and he only has 77 yards rushing. So that's just another testament to how willing Bowling Green is going to be to throw the ball, especially with this guy. I think these possessions are going to be short. I think there's going to be a lot of explosive plays. And even if Bowling Green doesn't score, I wouldn't put it past Mississippi State to be able to score 55-plus here. Give me the over 52.
Yeah, I like that. I was looking at Bowling Green too, so that it's not going to be official for me, but that will definitely make my card for the weekend. All right, I'll give you another over. This time we're going Big Ten football. Maryland, Michigan, total set at 63. I think this smashes 63 because Maryland has one of the best, I wouldn't say passing game, but one of the better wide receiver cores in the country. Now, Ohio State's on another level with their guys, but Maryland, man, their receivers are clicking. And Tagovailoa? Is it Tagovailoa? It's Tua's brother.
Tagovailoa.
I can't say it. We'll just say Tua's brother. He still gets Tua's brother because he's younger,
and not as good.
He has weapons though. He's 77% completion, 895 yards, 6 touchdowns. But Raheem Jarrett, Deshaun Jones, and even their tight end Corey Dykes, fantastic. Running game is enough to kind of throw defenses off. But when that offense gets on the field and has a chance at scoring, they're not missing. What I think, too, is Michigan's coming off of games where they played the first 2 weeks, they played the 2 worst teams in college football, right? Last week, they played UConn. They haven't faced an offense yet. So their defense is fantastic, but that's against bottom-tier football. I think they could get punched in the mouth just a few times. I don't think Maryland wins the game. I think Michigan still has too much firepower, too much depth. They beat Maryland, but I think Maryland can sneak in some scores here and probably, I would say, put up 20-plus. I think they can score points. Their defense is okay, but Michigan's offense, you got J.J. McCarthy as the main quarterback now. Cade McNamara was hurt last week against UConn, so he'll have to prove it. But he's so far when he's had his chances, he's 88% completion for 473 yards, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. The thing is, though, he doesn't have to do all this by himself because the offensive line for Michigan, Michigan offensive line is always a thing everyone thinks about. They're better than last year. Their running game is just demolishing teams. I don't think Maryland's defense is going to be able to hold them, which is why I think Michigan ultimately wins this game, probably by the spread, but I'm not touching that because these are two offenses, two of the better offenses in the Big Ten going at it. Maryland's been an up-and-coming team. They're trying to get their foot in and say, hey, we're part of this Big Ten, especially now that UCLA, which they're trash, but USC coming to the Big Ten. Maryland wants to stake their claim saying, hey, don't forget about us, right? You forget about Indiana, Rutgers, all these teams. Maryland has the weapons on the offensive side of the ball to do some damage. I think that they're going to come in. They're going to be explosive. They're going to be ready to go. But Michigan is better all around, not just passing the ball. Their running game is stout, and I think that this crushes the number. Tua's brother is going to be good. He's going to spread the ball around to his weapons. Michigan's going to throw to keep up with it, but I think they get a little separation in the second half. They're going to run the ball down their throat. I can see both teams probably putting up, I could see, Maryland around the 20 mark, but I can see Michigan throwing up over 40 points.
Nice.
I'm taking the over in this one, and what did I say? Was that 63.5?
Might be a 65 now.
65 now?
Unless we can find something on Wager Talk on the odds screen.
Well, I have it at 63 on my card, so let me see if I can find something while you jump into yours.
Okay. Sorry, I didn't mean to call you out like that.
No, that's what we want. I want the best odds. See what I can find here, but what do you go to for yours?
Wager Talk odds screen.
Wager Talk?
Yeah.
I just do the Vegas Insider, and it gives me all the...
Oh, I can get you a 64.5.
There we go. You better jump on this now, then. We're filming this
No,
Wednesday
we know it's
night.
climbing.
It's climbing. You need to get on it now, but I'm taking the over. I think that's an offensive game.
All right. For my last pick of the week, looking to go 3-0. It's going to be a team that's trending up, and you might be paying a premium for it, but it's okay against their opponent. And that's going to be the Tulane Green Wave. They've had a very impressive start to the season, and it wasn't proven to me until last week. So they did come out and beat UMass 42-10. They did follow that up with a win over Alcorn 52-0. So little pad of the stats there. But then last week, they went into Manhattan, Kansas, and knocked off Kansas State. Which side note, do you have a Kansas State pick this week?
I don't know.
They're playing Oklahoma in the last 2 years. You've taken them to win, so it's
wow.
Can't believe
you. Let me take a look at it first.
maybe
While you're talking, I'm going to look this up.
But enough about Kansas State. They got beat by Tulane last week. Man, this defense is impressive. Head coach Willie Fritz really has this team peaking at the right time. They're already in midseason stride going into Game 4, and I'm really comfortable backing them. Their defense so far this year has been absolutely elite. They're averaging. This has to be the number one in the country, too. They're only allowing 220 yards of offense a game through the first 3 games. They're only allowing an average of 72 yards through the air. The good thing about this team, they're playing this week, they don't have any ability to move the ball through the air. Southern Mississippi, and I've brought them up on this podcast earlier this year. They only have Frank Gore Jr. Frank Gore Jr. has 270 yards on the year through 3 games with 3 touchdowns. And Tulane's going to be able to find a way to stop them. They have so many weird questions at offense that it's just I just don't know how these guys are going to throw the ball. They have 2 different quarterbacks, one Keys, who's just not good, and then Wilke, who has been battling some injuries here. I just think that this Tulane defense is going to stop Mississippi State from scoring here. Maybe they'll get 2 touchdowns and a field goal. The most they're going to get is like 17 points. But with Tulane's offense, led by Michael Pratt, who already has almost 700 yards and 6 touchdowns on the year. I really think that Tulane can run it up. I'm comfortable with the minus 13. Give me the Tulane Green Wave minus 13 at home in the Dome. I mean, I just think they're peaking at the right time. And while I do love fading sinking ships, Southern Miss has been a pretty bad ship for the last 2 years. So although they did run it up on an FCS school last week, their games against Liberty and games against Miami showed that they're just not that good. So I'm good with the Tulane Green Wave here, minus 13.
Nice. So thank you for bringing up that Kansas State Oklahoma, because I think I'm going to, on the fly here, I don't know how we do this. Am I going to make it official with the pod? Because I feel good about it now, but this is my gut. So, because my fourth pick is the Ohio State-Wisconsin game. That's an over. Okay. Real quick with the Kansas State-Oklahoma, I won't make it official, but I'm feeling really, 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 really good about this. The past 5 years, Kansas State is 4-1 against the spread. They've been underdogs all 5 years. They're 4-1. 2 of those 5 years, they've won outright. And then last year, they lost by 6 at Oklahoma. What's the spread on the game? Do you know?
I can check real quick. It's a night game, too, in Oklahoma. 12.5.
Yeah, throw Kansas State.
Okay.
I'm feeling good with Kansas State plus 12.5.
Okay.
And sprinkle it, maybe.
They've caught on. The money line's only plus 360. A couple years ago, you got them at plus 1100.
I know, I was
plus 12.
Flipping out. All right, yeah, Kansas State plus 12.5. That's a semi-official pod pick. I'm not going to make it official. I'm not going to make it official, but look out for it. Yeah. All right, last game, Ohio State, Wisconsin, the primetime game for, what was it, ABC, I think it is?
Yeah.
Okay. This is like I said, night game. It's in the Horseshoe, and Ohio State's doing their blackout. They do it every so often here. The total for this, 56.5. Again, I think this smashes the total. Ohio State's weapons, their offense is starting to catch fire. Last week they put up 70. It was against Toledo, but Toledo generally plays them pretty well. And last week, the past 2 weeks now, Stroud has started to find a new target with his offensive weapons. Coming into the season, it was all about Julian Fleming, Smith and Jigba. Marvin Harrison Jr. was kind of that guy that everyone thought would do something. The past few weeks, man, he's been electric. So now Smith and Jigba was a little banged up. He's back. Ohio State has their full arsenal of offensive players at their disposal. Stroud is going to be able to pass that ball around, but he also has 2 running backs who Travion Henderson knocked out of the game last week. That was just precautionary. And Mayan Williams, so you have your elusive power combo in the backfield. Market that with 3 receivers plus a tight end / receiver. The defense is starting to take shape here. But Wisconsin is not Toledo, and Toledo put up 21 points. I think Under the Lights just brings out a whole new feeling. Wisconsin's playing Big Ten football again. For me, it's just about playing the feel of the game in this one. Ohio State's offense has just been on fire. I think they are best in total offense. Yeah, 565 yards, best in the country. Their defense has vastly improved. They are scoring 47 points a game, giving up only 14 points a game. Wisconsin, on the other hand, 30th in the country, 478 total yards. Their defense is 12th best. I think Ohio State's offense is better than their defense. Wisconsin scoring 39 a game. I think this is a high-scoring game. I think it's because what was week 1 against Notre Dame? I think that was
the total.
Yeah.
Oh,
I can't remember, but
remember.
But I think this game, both teams are kind of more seasoned. I think that first week you're always just trying to feel each other out.
Yeah.
I think this week the game gets a little quicker. And just something to kind of think about here, Ohio State's played their last 3 games. So the first 3 games of the season have all been on home field, home turf, right? Brand new turf. Ohio State's offense has gone from, 30, 40 points in week 1, to 56 to 70. I think they're starting to gain traction on that field. I think they're starting to get used to it a little bit more. The receivers are making insane plays, cuts. Running backs are able to put their foot in the ground and move. I think this is a high total game. So I'm going over, 58? 56.5. Ohio State, Wisconsin.
Perfect. Love it.
All right. That's it, yeah?
That's all I got.
Cool. Let me add that Kansas State here just so I have a blurb on my screen. Okay. Go ahead and recap your picks for me real quick.
All right. My week 4 card, looking to go 3-0. I got Missouri +7 playing Auburn at noon. I got the over 52 in Bowling Green and Mississippi State. And to round it out, I have Tulane -13 hosting Southern Mississippi.
Perfect. All right. I have Texas -5 against Texas Tech. The over 58.5 Vandy, Alabama. Over 56.5 Wisconsin, Ohio State. Over 63 Maryland, Michigan. That is rising, so grab it fast. And then the unofficial pick of the annual Kansas State +12.5 against Oklahoma.
Yes.
All right, man. Hey, we're coming off a fantastic week. So far, these first 4 weeks have been, really well.
Great for our listeners if you're tailing us.
Yeah, so continue to like, subscribe, follow, listen, share, all that stuff. You want to hit them with the socials?
Yeah, find us on Twitter at CFP_pod. Find me at Big Country Bets. Find Dan at DPosk13.
Yep.
And then, man, what's our record? 17 and what?
Podcast record is 17-10, 63%.
Yeah, you guys are welcome. Please do us a favor and share that with your friends. We keep it short, we keep it sweet. We like to give locks, and overall we've been winning. So just give us some help there, and we'll keep delivering for you guys.
Beauty. All right, man. That's it. You got anything else?
No, let's have a good week 4, and we'll see you next week.
Cool, man. That's Big Country. I'm Dan. We will see you next week.